Yeah. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Hot Topics 10 a.m. It is a Friday, and I have lots to talk about. Okay, first of all, mm, you guys know I never say what's on my mind, and so I'm not going to say this morning that Donald Trump is a whiny little bitch. But yeah, Donald Trump is a whiny little bitch. It's the truth. And I'm going to explain to you why he is a whiny little bitch. And I'm going to explain to you why he is a liar. And I'm going to tell you why MAGA and Donald Trump and the administration and all of the people, the grifters who are there just for the power, why they're such hypocrites. Okay. So I'll start off with the jobs because that's the latest breaking news. But there's something else, the latest news. By the way, make sure you hit the like, make sure you hit the thumbs up, make sure you become a subscriber, hit the subscribe button, and also become a member. Our membership link is at the top of the chat. So if you hit that thumbs up button or that like button, it affects the algorithm and more people become aware of our channel and our conversation this morning because I really want them to hear it. So thank you. The engagement is great, especially for a Friday. Usually a lower engagement day for everyone all around, not just me, but everybody, especially in traditional linear television. Fridays are like, and then the summer gets woof. But I guess producers, if you recall, if you're there, last summer, our engagement did not go down, right? I think it was the election. Is that what it was?
Yeah. I think it was such a prominent time politically that our engagement held pretty steady even over the summer.
I know. And then when all of like the other, folks on here, I don't know if you want to call them creators or journalists or whatever hosts, when they were losing subscribers, we were doing what?
Yeah, we were growing.
Especially after the election.
Right after the election, yeah.
Phenomenal growth. We had so much growth that is it YouTube or Spotify? YouTube, right, is inviting us to talk about the growth of our channel.
That's YouTube, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? How to grow your channel so fast. In the meantime, you have all the haters going, they're sucking, they're not doing well. And then we have people inviting us and asking us, how on earth did you do this? We just kind of did what we wanted. We just didn't try to be like a traditional newscast where we go, hello, everybody, welcome, or canned. It's just like I come on and I say, how are you guys doing this morning? Where are you streaming from? Because it's a community. And then people feel comfortable and they feel welcome. And we built a fantastic community. By the way, that is Louisiana. Out there in the background, I'm here visiting my family. And then that is where all of the mishigas and chaos is going on, and all of the hypocrisy and the normalizing and the false equivalence and the gaslighting of the American people in the world and the bullying of our allies around the world, and then sucking up to Russia. All of that is going on right here. And this is what's going on here is love and family. And what's going on right here with all of you is a community that does not stand for bullshit. So welcome, everybody. Hello, Lafayette, Louisiana, Shauna. Good morning. Welcome to Jan, who is a new member. Good morning, my good people, says Barbara. I'm with you on there. Almost 700K. That's right. Atlanta, Georgia's in the house. West Virginia is here. Toronto. Hey, our Canadian brothers and sisters. We are looking out for you. We love you guys. Don't let this current administration taint how we feel about you, or how you feel about us, I should say, because we love you. Hello, fellow Lemonheads. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, let me show you guys something. So, we start off with news. It's a Friday. It's a Friday. So I'll just show you some of the things that we're working on and that I've been discussing, because some of it, we have some stuff. Also a really great thing about our channel, look, guys, don't get upset about this. The streaming is like mainly guys in the manosphere, and they call that. The reason that advertisers and that the folks who are at Spotify and YouTube are like so interested in how we grew this is because I have a very big female audience, right? The majority of the people who listen to us or watch us, Nikki, am I correct? It's women.
Yeah, our audience is far more female than male.
It didn't used to be. Did we?
No.
I don't think we started that way.
No, we actually started the opposite.
Yeah.
When we first started, that was something that I was concerned about. But yeah, we have definitely grown.
We have grown, and guess who pays the bills, and guess who takes care of the household, and guess who knows everything and does everything, controls the wallet and the purse string and buys all the stuff and the advertising? Women. And we have the women. Not only because that, because we just love them. I know that women love me and I love them And so there's a lot of bullshit out there about me that is not true, but I will just show you. So these are the kind of samples, because I've been promising this and I forget. So I'm showing this to everybody, okay? So that's one of the things, right? I don't know if you can see that. I should get out of there. So that's one of the things that I like, right? That we've been talking about. And then this is possibly a different color, but this one is, I think this one is mostly for the ladies because it just says elimination. And I like it because it's kind of soft and right, if we do that. But these are just samples. I'm not sure we're going to do that. So I'm just showing you some of the stuff so that you know. That one is a little hard to see because it's so light. So that you know that we're working on it. And the possibility that this one I said, can you show me one with the O as a lemon? And then I said I wanted a crew neck, and the woman, there is a woman, by the way, who's doing our merchandise. She's been recommended by everyone. And she's very good. She said, no, I want a V-neck because ladies like V-necks, and you have a very high woman audience on your program, and you should be very proud of that. So there you go, right there. Another lemon with the lemon thingy. And I'll just show you some. And this one, it says no lemon. This just says lemonation. But anyway, these are all tests. They're all samples, so don't get stuck on them. And then I will show you some others. And then we're going to get to business because I have to go and do something. It's going to be a shorter show. I'm just going to be honest with you. Today is going to be a shorter show. Let's see. I don't want to give too much away. I need to find her text messages. I need to go to my file with that in there. Hey Siri, turn on Do Not Disturb. Okay, Do Not Disturb is on now. Hannah. Okay, so here we go. So we have that, and then we have, and so here's the thing. The way they got that is I have to give them my signature, so that on the sweater or on the shirt, it's my actual signature, and then I have to show them the logo of the show so that they could put it on. And then again, because I've been telling you guys, I'm going to show you this. And this is one of the t-shirts, or like there's a, how do I do that? I feel like the creators when they do this thing. And so that is a tank top, and then there's a t-shirt. Again, these are just ideas. This is not 100%. And then we got some mugs that you can look at here. All right. And just so you know, but these are my favorites. Okay, guys, this is my absolute 100% favorite. Do you guys see that? Love that one. And then, is that it? Oh, and then of course, I think I showed you guys this before, but I love this one. Lemon Nation. And then there's this one that I really love. I think I showed you guys some of these before that I need to clean my phone. It's got, all right. And let's see if there's anything more that I want to show. Oh, this one is great. I think I showed you this. This one is for the ladies too, but there's also a guy's version of that. I can do that. Right. So that is, isn't that cute? All right. And then we'll have some other, yay, exciting, right? So everybody, welcome to the program. There's a little bit unorthodox way of starting it, but I just wanted to show you that because everybody's been asking us about everybody. And I would not have done this if you guys had not requested it. You guys requested this. I was like, am I going to do merch? What? Are you kidding me? And then so folks were like, you had better do it because your community wants it. Okay, so let's start off. I told you I was going to talk to you guys. By the way, if you're watching us on TikTok, make sure you smash the screen, hit the hearts. And if you're watching us, welcome to the folks who are watching us on Facebook. Welcome to the folks who are watching us on Instagram. And then later we'll be on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. It'll go out to the podcast folks, okay? And thank you. The majority of our audience, by the way, we have learned through our analytics, they actually watch us on the television. And I'm here in a hotel, and on the television between CNBC and CNN, there's actually a tab for YouTube where you can just click on YouTube. And if you have it set up in your television, it'll just take you to the popular channels that you want to watch. So it's actually easier than people think. So I guess that's why, guys, remember earlier in the week, was it earlier this week or last week, where we realized that more people watch us on television than on tablets and on laptops and then on iPhones? It's probably because the cable folks are incorporating YouTube into just the thing that you do on your clicker. And like they have this Netflix button. I think YouTube, we need to talk to them. They need to have a YouTube, just a big button like this for YouTube, and it would make it easier. It is the #1 network in the world. So there you go. Let's talk about all of this crazy shit that's happening. Okay, so the job market today, jobs, last quarter, I believe, was it last quarter or last week, added 177,000 jobs. 177,000 jobs. And you say, well, that is great, right? Okay, that's good that it added 177,000 jobs. Unemployment did not change. I think it's like 4.2, did not change at all. Is that good or bad? Well, at least it's not going in the wrong direction. So we will be grateful for that. But here's the thing. Here is the thing. Now, I just want to show you, because that is, folks would say it was good news. So this is what someone is saying the fans want. The fans want what the fans want. Okay. Tim is texting me, because Tim is always in the chat and he's watching. Tim is my husband. And so anyways, so I just want to show you. Now, remember what Donald Trump said yesterday, and JD Vance, because they're really nervous about this economy. They're really nervous about the tariffs. They know that the folks are not on their side. The economy in general, not on their side as well, because we have not really seen the damage that will happen with these tariffs. We have not seen it yet. But if you go out and about and you talk to the folks, like I talk to the folks as I am here in Louisiana, just talking to just everyday people, you're starting to see it. Like, you're going to start to feel this stuff. And it's starting, but it hasn't like trickled down to everybody yet. Okay. So this is just yesterday. First, I'm going to show you JD Vance, who is the vice president. And then I'm going to show you the person he got his marching orders from. Now, this is what they said just yesterday about the economy and the stock market, etc. Now watch.
Thinks that we have to make more of our own stuff.
The economy shrank. First time in 3 years. People are pointing to the tariff policy. There are people looking at their 401ks that are worried. What do you tell them? Is this going to work?
So the first thing is, when you talk about the economy, this is Joe Biden's economy, and we inherited $2 trillion of debt, the highest peacetime deficits in American history, a $1.2 trillion trade deficit, which fundamentally means we're not making enough of our own stuff. And the president came in and he said, this is not always going to be easy. It would have been very easy for Donald Trump to do what administrations past have done, which is borrow a lot of money and continue fueling the national debt. He said, no, we need a reset. We need American workers to have better jobs. We need to protect the jobs that they have right now. And we need to be more self-reliant as an economy, which, by the way, will drive down those skyrocketing levels of debt that we've seen. That is what he promised he was going to do. And he came in and we've started that process now.
Okay. All right. So remember, this is Joe Biden's economy. So let me just start by saying, I forgot to mention, thank you, Joe Biden, for the 177,000 jobs. Because Donald Trump JD Vance said just this week that this is Joe Biden's economy. Now, I'm not saying it. So I would say, thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you, Uncle Joe. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for the 177 jobs that were added in April because of what you did, I don't know, in the White House, since for the last 4+ years. Now, here's Donald Trump yesterday, just yesterday.
The stock market in this case it says how bad a situation we inherited. This is a quarter that we looked at today, and we took all of us together. We came in on January 20th. So this is Biden, and you could even say the next quarter is sort of Biden, because it doesn't just happen on a daily or an hourly basis.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, so thank you for reminding me of the 177,000 jobs added in April. I forget the gentleman who reminded me. Thank you very much. So you heard, look, Donald Trump said it. Donald Trump said that this was Joe Biden's economy. This is Joe Biden, what we're dealing with now. Everything is Joe Biden. And the next quarter, he said as well, will be Joe Biden. Now, that's according to him. So who am I to say otherwise? So again, I say thank you, Joe Biden. Now, This was the same folks who were running these sound bites, and the same folks who have been saying this is Joe Biden's economy in the news, which is why I tell you, corporate media, you need to keep that, treat them, as they say, with a long handle spoon at arm's length, as some folks would say. A grain of salt, more than a grain of salt, like a whole thing of salt. All right. So remember, these are just the folks who are carrying Donald Trump's water, the MAGA folks who are in the news business, which is probably most of them now, considering how they're all cozying up to this administration and bending the knee. So this was them just this morning, after the day before, saying that this is all Joe Biden. Okay, you guys, are you ready for this? Okay, roll it.
Very important report. With all of the hysteria over tariffs, we know the jobs are being created, and it is much better than expected. At 177,000 jobs added to the economy in April, this proves Donald Trump's point that the economy is doing well. You're
Wait, I thought the economy was doing terribly because it's Joe Biden's economy. Now, which is it, Maria Bartiromo? Is it Joe Biden's economy or is it Donald Trump's economy? It's Joe Biden's, unless it's not doing well. Really? Do we have anybody else talking about this today? Oh, we have the other guy. We have the Fox Business News guy as well. What's his name? Payne or whatever his name is, who is always, I cannot believe how he just sort of dances around. Oh, I love Donald Trump. I love blah, 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 blah. Everything is Donald Trump. Blah, blah, blah. And then when he had The Economist on there explaining to him on the program, on his very own network, explaining to him that tariffs were the culprit and it was Donald Trump's fault that the economy was going into the shitter, he almost like had a glitch and lost his shit on the air. Here he is.
It's a positive job number. This is just it just proves that we have an economy that all the experts continue to underestimate. And I think they're looking through a prism of political hatred, for lack of a better term, rather than being logical about the greatest economy in the world. There are reasons countries want to come here. There's a reason people buy our treasuries. There's a reason the dollar is the world's reserve currency. And the notion that they can flip a switch and find a replacement for America is nuts. And yet that's been the Wall Street narrative all along.
That's right, because the media can't get out of its Trump derangement syndrome and just report the facts.
Right.
Look, no surprise that government jobs are down with a federal hiring freeze in place, and the fact that President Trump has made it clear he wants to see an economy driven by private enterprise. Jerry Storch, private enterprise.
Look, capitalism will find a way.
Oh my God. Are these people real? Andy, can you please just back it up to the Maria Bartiromo part? Her lips are orange. It's not her head. Her head is so far up Donald Trump's rear end that she doesn't even need makeup in the morning when she goes to the Fox Business News set. They're like, oh, you're already orange. We'll just add a little blush and some lipstick and you're good. Maybe we'll do your hair. But she doesn't need it. Because she already has yeah, let's go. Let's listen to Maria Bartiromo. Now, every accusation is a confession. She's actually talking about herself. These are the people who have Trump derangement syndrome. If they had been honest about what Donald Trump is doing with tariffs, or just honest at all about anything, I would go, okay, maybe they're right, but it's all bullshit. So today it is Donald Trump's economy. Yesterday it is Joe Biden's economy. Get the fuck out of here. Let's listen. I want to hear her again.
Narrative all along.
That's right, because the media can't get out of its Trump derangement syndrome and just report the facts.
Right.
Look, no surprise that government jobs are down with a federal hiring freeze in place, and the fact that President Trump has made it clear he wants to see an economy driven by private enterprise. Jerry Storch, private enterprise.
Clowns. They literally are clowns. And this is why I talk about the folks with the MAGA brains. This is why we call it a cult. This is why we call it a dictatorship. This is why we call it an autocracy. This is why we call it fascism. Let's just call it what it is. Let's put up the definition of fascism, and I'm going to tell you why I'm doing it. Fascism is a far-right authoritarian and ultra-nationalist political ideology and movement characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition, belief in a natural social hierarchy, subordination of individual interests for the perceived good of the nation or race, and strong regimentation of society and the economy, opposed to Marxism, democracy, anarchism, pluralism, free markets, egalitarianism, communism, liberalism, and socialism. Fascism is at the far right of the traditional left-right spectrum. I like to have receipts, and I like to give evidence. Always. Now, I believe that fascism is obviously a part of this. Let's put up the next definition. This is my lesson plan for today, okay, everyone? You guys are all listening? To authoritarianism. Authoritarianism is a political system characterized by the rejection of political plurality, the use of strong central power to preserve the political status quo. Are you guys listening? And the reductions in democracy, separation of powers, where there are no separation of powers anymore between the judiciary, the legislative, and the executive branches. What is happening right now? Federal judges are being defied, orders from federal judges. The judiciary doesn't really matter right now. The Supreme Court is in his back pocket with folks who are beholden to him for putting them on the court. And the legislative branch is just neutered. It is impotent. He's just ignoring them. That is what? Reduction in democracy and the separation of powers and the rule of law. Remember, fascism is a form of authoritarianism. Authoritarian regimes may be either autocratic or oligarchic, and may be based upon the rule of a party or the military. Remember, we're going to I want to put the military in the streets. He wants to, according to him, be able to have the military control the people or out on the streets like police officers. States that have blurred boundaries, have a blurred boundary between democracy and authoritarianism have sometimes been characterized as hybrid democracies, hybrid regimes, or competitive authoritarian states. Okay, then it goes on to talk about Spain or whatever. But I just want to get these couple of points in before this is the lesson plan. This is going to set you up for what I'm talking about. Limited political pluralism, which is achieved with constraints on the legislature, constraints on political parties, and constraints on interest groups. Now tell me that's not happening. I want to sue such and such because it's the largest political action towards raises the most money for Democrats. We want to stop them. We want to stop universities and people from being able to achieve, activate their own constitutional rights, taking part in their own constitutional rights, and that's the freedom of expression. Political legitimacy based on appeals to emotion and identification of the regime as a necessary evil to combat easily recognizable societal problems such as an underdevelopment of or insurgency. So do you guys, and let me explain to the people who don't know, for the poorly educated, what this means. Political legitimacy based on appeals to emotion and identification of the regime as a necessary evil to combat. That means wearing of the MAGA hats. We are MAGA. As a matter of fact, MAGA was not a political party, was not a political ideology, but it has become one. Appeals to emotion and identification, MAGA. When they talk to you about, when they say, oh, this is identity politics, MAGA is the biggest identity politics, the biggest identity political party in modern history. So every accusation is a confession and an admission. Minimal political mobilization and suppression of anti-regime activities. I'm getting there. You ready for this? Ill-defined executive powers. You know, all those executive orders that they're putting into place because they can't, none of this stuff would pass the smell test for anything that is legal. You cannot get what you want done in the way that it's supposed to be done through our political system, the way the system is set up. So what do? You do an executive order. Because Congress is supposed to what? Be in control of the laws. It's supposed to go through Congress. But remember, the separation of powers don't exist under authoritarianism. Sorry, it's early. Ill-defined executive powers, often vague and shifting, used to extend the power of the executive. Now tell me, where is the lie? Someone on TikTok says, Don, do you ever have anything positive to say? Yes, I am positive that we are living under authoritarianism. I am positive that we're living under a dictatorship. I am positive that Donald Trump and the MAGA movement is full of hypocrites. That's what I'm positive about. I am positive that Donald Trump wants to do what? You can take that down now. Wants to be able to control people who don't, and institutions that don't align with his particular beliefs. Here it is. Donald Trump posting, threatening to target Harvard University. We are going to be taking away Harvard's tax-exempt status. It's what they deserve. Okay, this is, to me, when I heard this is the most outrageous bullshit that I have ever heard in my life. This is so unconstitutional. It is so un-American. It is so unpatriotic that this is one of the worst things I believe that he has done in his second term. This and not following the rule of law, due process, and this. And they both are pretty much the same thing, that you do not have to abide by the Constitution or the courts or the laws. This is bullshit. This is what Donald Trump wants to do. So let's put this up. I know that it has become a cliche and people do it all the time. They talk about it, about this Martin Niemöller poem. And I'm going to explain to you why I believe that regardless of how you feel about Harvard or whatever, the kids and the war in Israel and Gaza or whatever, okay, so maybe you think it's anti-Semitism. Some of what is going on, yes, perhaps it is. But that is besides the point. There are ways to deal with that in our government. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. So let me speak for the people who are at Harvard, the people who believe in free speech, the so-called, and even the hypocrites, the so-called free speech absolutists like Donald Trump is pretending to be, unless you disagree with him. This is some bullshit. Because Harvard does not agree with you, you want to get rid of their tax-exempt status. You want to get rid of the things that protect universities in this country. Do you want to get rid of something that, what about American University? What about the conservative universities? What if the courts, what if the next president does that to the conservative universities in this country? How would you feel about that, MAGA? Harvard is one of the oldest and most respected educational institutions of higher learning in this country, and has been for decades. This is what he gave the commencement at in Alabama last night at the university there. This is what he said. Here it is.
Graduates of the Alabama class of 2025 standing here before you in this magnificent arena, it is clear to see the next chapter of the American story will not be written by the Harvard Crimson. It will be written by you, the Crimson Tide. True. That's true. That's true. That's true. I thought that was rather clever. If you look at what's going on, they get their $5 billion a year. That is not going to be so forthcoming. Now, wasn't that a clever one, though? Huh? Who would think of that?
Yeah, not you.
Because this.
Not him, because he didn't write it. Donald Trump doesn't write anything. He can never say he didn't write it. A speechwriter wrote that for him. And then once he read it off the teleprompter, he's like, now that's clever. Of course you think it's clever because you didn't write it. And you have no idea what you're talking about. And the thing that I don't understand, thank you, Marlene Prosser. That's what we said this morning in our producer meeting. Why are those kids applauding this? What's the applause for this? What is the applause? Now I'm going to show you something that is that should be concerning to everyone. And I got so into this. By the way, producers, did you remind me? Did I just ignore? I guess we did. Did we forget the ad read? Nikki, Peter, what happened? Andy.
We can do it now.
Of course we can do it.
We were so focused on what you were saying and the absurdity of it.
Oh my gosh, because usually you're like, you got to do the ad read. It's 20 minutes after. You got to do it. So stand by. I'm going to show you the rest of the hypocrisy, and it gets even better. And let me just give you a little tease of what's going to happen on the other side of this. I agree with Candace Owens. Mark it on your calendars. When I agree with Candace Owens. Now, there have been a few times that I have agreed with Candace Owens. That may shock you. But sometimes she says some things and I'm like, you know what? I kind of agree with her. And she does have her convictions. And you know what they say about a broken clock, right? So I don't know if it's a broken clock, but on this one, I think she's spot on. So wait until I tell you why I agree with Candace Owens. But let me just tell you this. Support from today's show comes from what? Shopify. Yes, we love that. You know why we love that? Because Shopify can help you really turn your dreams into a ka-ching, right? Because in this day and age, you see, okay, they've added some, jobs, some jobs to the market in April, so that's good. But many people are getting laid off. Many people are tired of working for the man, as they say. Many people are tired of going into the office because, they've stopped like working from home in many places and all that. Many people are concerned about getting laid off in this environment. Sometimes after you get to a certain age, and even younger people realize, like, you know what? I want to be in charge of my own destiny. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to work for myself. I have a great idea. So then how do you execute that great idea? That's where today's sponsor comes in. And that is Shopify. I used to grow up and say, what do you want to be? I would say I wanted to be an attorney like my dad. And it's like, I don't know anything about the law. I do not want to be an attorney now, although I do think that I have an attorney mind, right? So I think I would have been a good attorney, however, I just started this business and I needed tools to help me. And some of the same tools that Shopify uses, I use, and it helped me. So this is where today's sponsor, Shopify, comes in, because if you have an idea and you want to know how to execute it, you should know this. Shopify is one of the largest e-commerce platforms in the world. It is a platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names to brands just getting started. That's like Shopify, okay? That's Shopify. What if you need to design a website? You need something that's beautiful. You need something that relates to your customers. They have templates that they can show you about. What if you need a hand? You need it on everyday tasks like enhancing product images, writing product descriptions, generating discount codes, et cetera, et cetera. They've got an AI tool that can help you. What if your people haven't heard of your brand? They have got a strategy for emails and social media that can help people find you, make people aware of you, okay? And if you get stuck, Shopify always has someone around that can give you advice. They have award-winning 24/7 customer service. So turn your dreams into ka-ching and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. So you have nothing to lose except for maybe $1 per month. You can sign up $1 per month to start your trial selling today. You can start selling today at shopify.com/lemon, shopify.com/lemon. Go to shopify.com/lemon. I'll say it one more time, shopify.com/lemon. $1 per month to start your trial. You should do it. Okay. So, and then you can turn your dreams into ka-ching. Okay. So let me just tell you, I told you before that a broken clock is right twice a day. Now, I'm going to tell you why I agree with Candace Owens, but stand by. I just want to tell you why some people believe that Donald Trump is so upset with Harvard. This is Michael Wolff, who writes the books on all of the palace intrigue and everything behind the scenes at Harvard. Listen, I mean, at the White House. Listen.
It's going around the White House this week. What do all the universities that Trump is targeting have in common? Barron didn't get into them.
Now, is that true? He said it was a joke going around the White House this week, and that Donald Trump wants to target Harvard because he didn't get in. I don't know if that is true, but I have heard that joke. And Michael Wolff has written lots of books about behind the scenes at the White House in the Trump administration, and much of it has been true. Much of it has been true. Okay, so here is why I agree with Candace Owens, and then I'll show you the hypocrisy on all of these things that we have been hearing from Donald Trump, his acolytes, the administration, his sycophants, and the MAGA brain people. This is Candace Owens speaking about Donald Trump wanting to take away Harvard's tax-exempt status. Here it is.
I thought that I would see a day where I would be rooting
for
a university above. I never thought that I would see a day where I would be rooting for a university above Donald J. Trump and his administration. But I don't recognize his administration right now. I don't recognize what's happening. I have a theory. I do. We were kicking around some theories earlier, me and the team, and we were going, how could Trump be such a free speech enthusiast and allowing these things to happen? Going after college universities, trying to suppress speech, while pretending that you're not suppressing speech, while pretending that you're fighting DEI. It's so messy. It's so obvious. Everyone knows what you're doing. People who are still trying to grift, I suppose, are not willing to challenge you on this, which is ridiculous, because when you are out of office, we are going to have to live with these consequences. Our children are going to have to grow up in this America, okay? So when you threaten our speech, it's not worth it so that we can have pom-poms and go hurrah for a couple of years, then go, okay, well, yeah, now it kind of stinks because, we're getting arrested for wrongthink. We got David Friedman. Yeah, arrest him. Arrest Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Get them. I love it. And if you think it's going to stop with college campuses, you're out of your mind. So you better buck up and root for Harvard University in this fight.
I honestly, I mean, I could go back over it, and if I was being like nitpicky, and maybe there was something that I maybe could not disagree with, but I think pretty much I agree with everything Candace Owens said. I think she's right, and that's why I read the Martin Niemöller poem there, or the quote. If you believe in free speech, if you believe in fighting for individuals to be able to say and express themselves in ways that is allowed under the Constitution, in ways that are allowed under the Constitution, then you agree with her as well. You should. I may not agree with you. I may not agree with what you say, but I will fight like hell for your right to be able to say it. Now, I'm not talking about screaming fire in a crowded theater or any of that, anything that is threatening or against the law or threatening anyone's safety or anything like that. I do not agree with being a bigot. I don't agree with being a racist or anti-Semitic or any of those things. But America is about due process, and it's about freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And it's about the Constitution. And what Donald Trump wants to do is not constitutional and probably will not pass the smell test. But the fact that he is even trying it and people are believing and buying into it is just really outrageous to me. Andrew Ross Sorkin this morning on the MSNBC.
You mentioned one Truth Social post from the president. I want to get your reaction to another. A short time ago, he wrote this: "We're going to be taking away Harvard's tax-exempt status. It's what they deserve." So tell the viewers here what that really means. How it's certainly a violation of significant norms, but what is it going to be the real world implications for that, for Harvard and any other institution that Trump may eventually target?
Look, first, I think it's worth noting this will go to court if, in fact, it were to happen, and I think would be unlikely for the tax-exempt status to be removed. The implication of such a thing, if it were to take place, would mean that donations to Harvard would not be tax deductible, and that the money that the institution makes through its endowment in terms of investing and the like would also not be would be taxed. So that's the implication for the university, which would therefore mean, and by the way, of course, grants have been taken away from Harvard as well, would mean less money for students, less money for research, less money all around. That's what it would mean. The question now is this something that he's targeting at Harvard specifically, in which case, by the way, because it would be so targeted, a court likely actually wouldn't uphold it, or is he going to do this to all universities around the country? I think that would actually be very, very challenging politically, by the way, given the sports programs at so many universities. Could you imagine, for example, the president removing the tax status of Notre Dame? I don't know. I think that people would look at that and say that they don't want that. So, you know, clearly this president thinks that he is going to somehow change the culture of Harvard University and some of these other Ivy League schools. He's arguing it's about anti-Semitism, but he's also suggesting it now it's about ideology. And, of course, on the other side, there's a question about free speech and whether private universities should be able to have the kind of free speech that they want. This is not to suggest that things can't and shouldn't be improved at these universities, and clearly there have been problems. But
okay,
the idea that
got it. I think that he's right. You get what Andrew's saying, and I agree with him. That doesn't mean that things can always be improved. You may not agree with it. I didn't like. I forget. I forget which campus it was where all of these frat boys were yelling at this black woman and calling her out of her name and calling her, fat or something like that. I did not agree with that. But is it their First Amendment right to be able to do it? Yes. Unless they are somehow breaking the law. And if they were threatening her safety in that moment, that's a different thing. Don't agree with it. But do they have the right to be able to do it? Absolutely. Now, again, I see you guys in the chat. You're like, I don't agree with Candace Owens. I don't believe in her grift, this 180. I'm not saying that I agree with Candace Owens in her ideology. Do I think she's a grift? Yeah. Is it a grift? Probably. But the right words are coming out of her mouth at this moment. You guys, now I know what Candace Owens is about. I know who she is, but I'm saying at this moment, and especially if you are a MAGA person and she has been a MAGA person and you have lost Candace Owens like they lost with Ann Coulter when they were all kissing Donald Trump's ass around at the cabinet meeting the day before yesterday. And Ann Coulter said, can we get a cabinet meeting without all of the Kim Jong-un third world or dictatorship shit? Paraphrasing. So when you've lost Ann Coulter, then you're in trouble. When you've lost Candace Owens, at least when the right words are coming out of their mouths or they're posting the right things on social media, then I think it should be pointed out. But I just want to show you the hypocrisy in all of this, okay? Because this is, now he wants to do it because he wants to take away their tax-exempt status. This is the IRS. He wants to dictate to the IRS what should be able to happen with Harvard. This is what he said in 2019 about the IRS.
Use every instrument of government power, including the IRS, to try to shut you down. And I will never allow the IRS to be used as a political weapon, as it has been and currently is. It is currently being used, but has been used so viciously, so violently against many people in this room.
Okay. Now he wants to do it to some of the people in some other rooms. This is Donald Trump at the White House being pressed on his IRS hypocrisy. Here it is.
In the first term, your Attorney General apologized to Tea Party groups who have been targeted by the IRS under the Obama administration. Why is it okay for the IRS to now be looking at changing the tax status of Harvard because of policy disagreements you have with the university?
So, I had dinner last night with a lot of pastors and ministers and people of faith, and there were like 32 of them, and it was beautiful in the Blue Room, and they said, sir, I was targeted by the IRS, and the FBI came in, sir, and I've been going through hell for years. And not only that, we're also finding that many people just having to do with Trump support have gone through hell. And they've used the IRS for purposes of something that's very illegal for them to have to do.
Were you trying to
It's a very illegal, it's a very, very illegal thing to do what they did. And I think it's such a shame. That was long what?
If that was wrong, why are you considering changing the tax status of Harvard?
Because I think Harvard's a disgrace. I think what they did was a disgrace. They're obviously anti-Semitic, and all of a sudden they're starting to behave. But when you see what they were saying, what they were doing, when you see the way they took care of events, when you watch that woman, that horrendous
all right, get it. Okay,
president.
so listen, got it. All right, now, Nikki, Peter, are you guys there? Didn't they say he said it was illegal? But then when asked on it, he goes, "Why are you doing it then if it's illegal?" And he said, "Because Harvard is because he thinks they're awful.
They deserve it."
But
he
that
basically just described exactly what he's doing, said that it's illegal.
But he's going to do it anyways.
Essentially. In his mind, it's only illegal if it's being done to Trump supporters.
I mean, it's not funny. And by the way, you think he's a big hypocrite? You think he's a big baby? Or as we say, Trump is a whiny little bitch? What do we call him?
A petty little bitch.
Petty little
bee. Sorry, you
petty
two.
little bee. Well, anyways. So this is his cabinet, members of his cabinet and his supporters talking about just being hypocritical on the IRS. Here it is.
Under fire this morning for targeting the political enemies of President Obama.
If the IRS can go after you because of what you think or what you believe or what you do, we'd no longer live in a free country. That's what this is all about. And if you think they're not going to eventually use it against your politics, whatever they might be, it's ridiculous. They certainly will.
This is far worse than Watergate. This isn't an enemies list. These are direct actions that were taken against Americans who sought to exercise their free speech rights under the First Amendment.
If this were a Republican president targeting the ACLU or some of those groups and administration, I think the mainstream media would be apoplectic. So I think it's a definite double standard.
It's created this culture of intimidation that's pervasive throughout the White House and the federal government.
It's embarrassing for the country. These are things you typically see in the third world.
I can also assure you that were this a Republican president, a Republican attorney general, and a Republican IRS that were targeting Democrats, I at least would speak out just as vigorously against it.
How scary is this to you?
It's just not supposed to happen. They have laws against it. If this were somebody else, this would be the bigger story. And maybe it will, in fact, be the bigger story.
Now, you don't need me to tell you this. There's a soundbite for everything. It's total hypocrisy. And that's why people get upset when I talk about the MAGA brain and that it's a cult. And that he lies to them and they believe it. They will believe anything that he says. These people are crazy, Lori. They are crazy. They're out of their minds. I don't understand what's wrong. It is embarrassing. Those are the same people who are in his cabinet now. And where is Michelle Bachmann? Whatever happened to her? Remember that? The tip of the spear woman? Actually, it is believable in this climate. Every allegation is an admission. They are letting you in on who they are. These people do not care about the Constitution. They do not care about the rule of law. They are not patriots. What they want is power. And they don't, most of all, I'm speaking to you folks here who know better, and I'm speaking to the MAGA sycophants, MAGA brain idiots. I'll be honest. The people who have been co-opted. He doesn't give a shit about you. He doesn't care about you at all. He cares about himself. And he will do and use anything at his disposal in order to stay in power, to stay out of jail, and to mislead you. Even tell you that taxes are not, tariffs are not a tax on you. That the economy is great when you're living in a shit economy that is about to go down the tubes. And you are falling for it. Well, he's got something up his sleeve. He's going to be able to. Yeah, it is projection. Someone said it's projection. It is projection, and it's worse than that. So this is where we are right now. And there's one other thing that I wanted to show you before I get out of here. One other thing that I wanted to show you before I get out of here. And I think I put it in there? Just want to make sure I got it. I think I ran it. That's all the clips, right? Is that everything that I wanted to run? Oh, no. There's one more. This is what I said, that he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's talking out of both sides of his neck. He makes shit up on the fly. Okay. Now he's speaking to Stephen A. Smith. There's some town hall on Newsmax or whatever, one of those channels that kisses butt. He is speaking to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is, I believe, Stephen A. Smith is asking him about Harvard. He sees a black man. Obviously, he thinks Harlem. So he starts to talk about Harlem. And then all of a sudden, maybe someone whispered in his ear. I put a note in front of him and said, Harvard. And now you tell me if you understand what he's saying, because it's inexplicable to me. Did he have a glitch? Here it is.
Mr. President, thank you for your time. It's interesting that you brought up Harvard, because when people think about Harvard, what they're basically talking about is they're asking, what do you say to those who view your actions as an attack on academic freedom rather than a defense of fairness? What do you say to that?
Well, I say this. We had riots in Harlem, in Harlem, and frankly, if you look at what's gone on, and people from Harlem went up and they protested, Stephen, and they protested very strongly against Harvard. They happened to be on my side. You know, I got a very high black vote. You know that. Very, very high black vote. It was a very great compliment to me. I did criminal justice reform. I did opportunity zones for one of the greatest economic deals ever for the black and Hispanic community. I got tremendous. They agree with what I'm doing with respect to Harvard. Harvard gets 4 or 5.
Okay, now can you just, Andy, I want to hear Stephen A. Smith's question one more time.
Mr. President, thank you for your time. It's interesting that you brought up Harvard, because when people think about Harvard, what they're basically talking about is they're asking, what do you say to those who view your actions as an attack on academic freedom rather than a defense of fairness? What do you say?
Pause. Andy, listen to me. This mic is on, right? I just want to make sure. Okay. Yeah. What the fuck did that have to do with Harlem? What the fuck did that have to do with black people and empowerment zones and black votes? Do you feel me? People, were concerned about Joe Biden's cognitive abilities. And I asked this question earlier this week. Is he okay? Is he okay, or did he just see a black man and automatically he thought Harlem? Or does he not know the difference? Like, what is going on in his mind? And Stephen A., you're right, Linda, did not correct him. Why, Stephen A.? Excuse me, sir. My question was about Harvard, not Harlem. What do the two have to do with each other? At least that. But no, you can't do that. And you know why you can't do it? Because you can't. Nope. I want to be part of the MAGA cult, but then I want to pretend not to be part of the MAGA cult. I want to sort of cozy up to whiteness, but I don't want to say anything. I want to get the check. Everybody, it's the same. I'm sure with everybody on that stage, all the folks on that, it's just the same thing over at Newsmax or whatever, News Nation that's on the screen. Anywho, I've kept you guys too long. I have to get out of here because I have an appointment that I am late for. So I will see you this evening for Lemon Live at 5. Okay, this is our sour lemons. If you have any suggestions, let us know. But there you go. That's the hypocrisy. That is my lesson plan for you today. Go forth and conquer today. You don't have to sit in front of the television or with your notifications on and just become enraged by everything. Now you know. Join us back at 5 o'clock. We'll explain to you what is big, what is going on, what you should be paying attention to. It's all a game and a grift. Okay? So hit the like, hit the thumbs up, become a subscriber, become a member. And then we will see you back here at 5 p.m. Eastern time on the Don Lemon Show, the Don Lemon channel. Okay? So turn the TV off. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you.